Okay, so Boys State day 2. This would be Monday. So we woke up pretty early. I think we had to be in the room by 7:30. Then we went to breakfast, and then so this would be our first real day. So we had our, I think they called it assembly. So what we would do is we would stand in formation, like 6 columns, 6 rows, or whatnot. Extra people on the end for like a roll call type thing. And they do the sound off where they'd say the county name and then they'd go through it. We'd say the Pledge of Allegiance. We had a bugle player. Um, then we were addressed by a Legionnaire, and then he kind of released us, and we'd get back to our room or back to our floor just in time for them to tell us to go to operations. So then we went to operations. Um, this was kind of day 2 of Department of Humanities, and we were in a different room because like the first night was a little bit different. But the first day, what we did was kind of set out our goals, and so we were figuring out that everyone was pretty poor and kind of running back and forth. What do we need? What was our jobs, kind of thing. And our goal became education in school. So I think we had a lot more plans of what we wanted to do, but school became our first kind of priority, and then we thought we would move to others. But as you'll see as we move throughout the week, that kind of just didn't happen. Um, So school was our focus, and that's kind of what we came up with in the first entire operations. It was still kind of clunky figuring out how to do Google Forms for applications for grants for the department because we only had one computer and stuff like that and difficulties. And then this is kind of where not really, yeah, my frustrations with our leader started to grow because he just seemed very wanting to do it by himself or I think his style of leadership was take care of things, which was severely limiting to the group because if he was doing everything, then we were stuck doing nothing because there was nothing for us to do because he was covering all the other responsibilities. So after that, we went to lunch. I was still thinking that I could be running for governor, so I was still meeting people, saying, "Hey, what's up?" It was really cool to just be able to go up people, say, "Hey, this is my name. What's yours? Where are you from?" It was really cool to get to meet people like that and just kind of dive into their lives really quickly for a little bit. So that was very interesting and very neat. Then after lunch, we kind of met back in our room and went back to operations. So the way that you'll see that kind of the day was set up were 3 operations in one day. So that way we could get through essentially 3 days worth of stuff in one day. So if you have a 5-day camp and essentially 3 days baked into one, you get a 15-day camp kind of baked into it, which is still really short. But so maybe I don't know, more frequent, shorter operations would have been better. So instead of like 2 hour or hour and a half operations, like have a more 45-minute operations. But that means more printing of forms for people like city council and stuff like that. Then we went to rec time. After in that operations, I think we didn't have much. I can't remember what we did during this operations. I'm not sure if it was the operations where we went and tried to work on other problems because we just couldn't do anything else. Not really. I don't think it was that day. And I was still kind of on the. I didn't tell anybody in my department that I was planning on running for governor. That was probably an oversight, but um, that's one of the lessons I'll talk about later. Being you don't want to be vocal about stuff you want to do, but you also don't want to. I think I kind of got stuck a bunch of times and missed opportunities really because I didn't say, "Hey, I was interested in this." I just sat there like, "Well, if you need me, then I'll do it." But it's like, well, then we're going to give it to the person who wants to do it, and because you didn't express any want in doing it, you don't get to do it. And so I missed a few opportunities because of that train of thought. So then we went to rec time. It was our first day of rec time. It was a really hot, really long walk. I'm going to call it a mile. It looks like 2 on a map, but I'm just going to call a mile. And then at the rec center, we played Ultimate Frisbee. It was almost like the staff didn't beat us there, or we were short staffed because they like had a staff meeting during this time. But we finally got Ultimate Frisbee started. Like the first time they called off our counties, and there were only 2 fields for Ultimate Frisbee, and being 10 teams in 2 fields, that left 6 teams not doing anything playing Ultimate Frisbee wise. So there ended up being like 4 Ultimate Frisbee games kind of going because they brought out 3 Frisbees and then one kid had his own. But I had to go track down another one for our group because group of the teams who didn't get like scheduled times to play just kind of took one of the extra ones, which wasn't really an extra one, and so I had to go ask for another one, and I took like, it doesn't seem that bad, but it was still like a 10-minute delay, which in retrospect wasn't a bad thing because I was tired anyways when it was over. I did pretty well, okay. I just love the fact that our team worked together really well. That was really encouraging and nice to just have a bunch of nice people not getting angry at each other, good mood, encouraging everybody, and everybody contributing in some form or fashion. So that was really cool to see. After that, we went back, kind of had a cleanup time or a free time of about half an hour. Kind of depends when your county was in the schedule of how much free time you would get. And then after that, we went to dinner. And so we had some time to shower up and rest and lay in our rooms kind of because we're tired and recoup a little bit of energy and go to dinner. And after we got back from dinner, we would all meet in the county room again, and then they'd dismiss us for our third operations of the day. And I had asked earlier in that free time one of the counselors when I would do party stuff, because the caucus was supposed to be Tuesday morning, but party leaders were supposed to plan the caucus. So what I was told was halfway through humanities, at a certain amount of time, I was supposed to leave and go do party leader stuff. And so that's exactly what happened. And when I got back, humanities once again did great. Whatever we were doing, I think it was kind of muddling around and slow, but still slogging through stuff and thinking out ideas and organization and everything like that. But when we got to party leaders, it was kind of once again a really fast, stressful meeting because it was hey, you got to plan out your you got to plan the caucus and how you're going to organize it, kind of. So we had a set amount of time, and this is how many people were going to speak. It's weird because I remember it. The time is in the schedule is in the evening, but I remember it being kind of lighter out. But maybe that was just the lights from inside. I don't really know. But we scheduled it out, and so the governor candidates would get to speak for 2 minutes. We had basically 2 hours to get through like 50 some odd candidates for 5 different positions, all the state positions in the state jobs video of kind of governor and commissioner of insurance and state treasurer and all those jobs, attorney general. We had to basically get it down to one person for each of those jobs for the entire party at the caucus was the goal. And so we planned it, okay, this is how much time you'd have and for each speaker, and this is kind of what they got to do, this is the flow of it. So it was really freeing to be like, here's your space, here's your time limit, here's what needs to be done, go make it happen. And so that was really cool to organize and kind of chair up. And then we got to go there early a little bit, just all 10 of us, and see the space in this big lecture hall that hold like 200 people. Go sit up front, talk over the mic, here's where people are going to sit. And then we had our candidates show up for practice, and it's like, hey, if you weren't. And so we did roll call, staying organized for that. And so that was really neat, and the adults really didn't interfere with that. So it was really kids leading kids, and nice stuff happened from that. And so then it was about 10 o'clock when we walked home from rehearsal. So what literally happened was we planned this in operations around probably 8 o'clock, and then like 9:15, it was rehearsal for it. So it's like, click, plan what you're going to do, so that way you can rehearse what you're going to do, so that way tomorrow morning you can do what you just planned to do like 12 hours ago. Which, thinking back, was really fun to just have a really rushed schedule like that, and it's made it seem like a lot of stuff got done. One thing I do want to note here is that on the walk back, we had a meeting for Boys State that was at a school in my town, and this guy kind of, encouraged us some things to know about Boys State before we went, and it turns out that he was actually a guy, or was the dad of my county counselor, which was really interesting to kind of have that connection. So I got to learn a lot about my county counselor and the similarities we had of each other, and kind of his story versus my story, kind of doing Science Olympiad and these other things. And so it was really neat to have this similarity that we didn't know about each other kind of throughout the week. And this evening, I stayed up really late, like till 2 a.m. writing a speech, which I'll tell you guys in the recap of day 3 how that caucus really went. So, yeah, it was day 3 of Boys State.